Start our webinar, and today is our webinar number 2, and we have 3 speakers lined up for today's session. And I will just go through. We have Dr. Jayant Bapat ji, Shuchita Pota ji, and Harshitha Reddy ji. And as usual, we have asked 3 questions. The first question is, what does being a Hindu mean to you? How do you communicate this understanding to your family and close friends? The second question is, how can we communicate a Hindu worldview to the broader Australian society? And the third question is, what are your views on Hindu heritage and its relevance for the next generation of Hindus in Australia? So our speakers are going to present their views based on those questions. And our theme is preserve, transmit, and contribute. That's our theme. So our first speaker for today is Dr. Jayant Bapat ji. He doesn't need any much introduction, and so as you know, he is one of the most respected figures in the Australian Hindu community. He has made significant contributions to academia, interfaith dialogue, Hindu religious services, and community leadership over more than 5 decades. And he has authored and edited several important scholarly works, including Indian Diaspora, Hindus and Sikhs in Australia. Dr. Bapat ji, you can share more about yourself when you start your presentation. And now the stage is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for organizing these webinars. They are a very important thing for Hindus in Australia and worldwide. Because I'm 88, I'm allowed to ramble, I think, and I will be rambling a bit, and through which hopefully we might find partial answers to some of these questions that you are asked. They are very fundamental questions, and I hope we do get somewhere with the answers to them. Let me start with my background, which to me is highly relevant. I come from a place near Pune called Vai in Maharashtra state, and I migrated here in 1965, a long time ago. I lost my parents to tuberculosis when I was 7 and was looked after by my maternal grandparents. This itself to me is a great Hindu value, self-sacrifice by my grandparents. My grandfather was a retired school teacher, had a meager pension, and with which he supported himself, the whole family, and to my brother and I, 2 grandchildren. So he sincerely believed, as I do, Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Whatever is required by your society and by your religion, you must do, and do not expect any fruit from that. That is why I call Hinduism a lived religion, not a prophetic religion. With an example such as that, the one thing I learned that I had the need to excel. I finished my bachelor's and master's and PhDs and so on. I competed for jobs in Australia with whites, Australians, and won the competition because Australia treated me nicely. It was wonderful to see that one could do this. I mention this because I think of parallel situations in India. I worked in Baroda in a chemical firm, which was run by a particular caste. And if you did belong to that caste, you went ahead very quickly. If you didn't, you didn't go far at all. So that is something that, once again, we must always bear in mind in terms of what Hinduism is and what caste system does to you. Australia has been very kind to me, and as we said, let's now look at various aspects of Hinduism. Let's switch our attention to what Hinduism is. And that
மைக்ரோரே இன்டெல் அந்த ஸ்மார்ட் சவுண்ட் டெக்னாலஜி தானே?
sorry, is
ஸ்மார்ட்
that
சவுண்ட் டெக்னாலஜி.
something wrong? You can't hear me? Is there something wrong? Can't you hear me?
No, please continue. Please continue.
Okay, because I hear someone talking something. That's what. Okay, yeah, okay. Yes. So, what is Hinduism? It is almost impossible to define. If you take of the North Indians, they would proudly show their Aryan culture, as they say. Many of them will not do Murti Pujas. They will insist on doing only the Pari Samajis, for instance, insist on doing Vedic sacrifices and so on. Well, so that's Aryan religion, I can call it. What about the rest of India? India is mostly religious. So therefore, we will call it folk religion, folk Hinduism. Most villagers worship folk deities. Brahmins, on the other hand, I do lots of pujas for people. Brahmins, on the other hand, will chant Vedic and Puranic Sanskrit, and that is then Brahminic Hinduism. India has 26 main languages, and this has been said again and again, but 650 plus dialects. Each region has a favorite god and goddess. So this is really
Please unmute yourself, Dr. Bapat. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Please go ahead, Jayantji.
Okay. So the most important Hinduism to me is women's Hinduism. Indian women will conduct lots and lots of vratas throughout their life, and for the family, for the good of the family and the community and so on. And that is village Hinduism. All of these are Hinduism, but that's just not one definition. Many aspects of Hinduism, unlike most other religions which are prophetic. We don't even know, we do know, but the name itself is a misnomer. Ancient Iranians had difficulty. The S and H in that language was interchangeable. So people who lived on the banks of the Sindhu River, S became H, and therefore they are Hindus. That is a very difficult definition to swallow, but that's what it is. So most importantly now, these are the various Hinduisms, and to this I now add one more Hinduism, and that is Hinduism of the Indians in Australia and overseas, but not in India. As Australia is very important, I'll mention this now and I'll come back to it again. We do not realize that the Australian Aborigines have 14% Indian DNA. So that is one heritage we must remember and which we have totally forgotten or choose to forget. Now, let me go through the history again. We were governed long time by the Bada Sahib in London. The Bada Sahib wanted cheap Indian labor. Therefore, they imported workers from India, and the life of, just excuse me for a minute. The life of these people who were imported there in very small number was like a dog's life. They lived miserably. Whatever money they earned, they sent to India, etc., etc. And as you know, Australia was a British colony in some extent to still is. They wanted their share of the cheap labor to work on coal fields, sugarcane plantations, cotton plantations, camellias in north where no other transport was available. So these guys came in ships in very small number. Even that small number was too much for the whites. They raised their strong voices against these niggers, and I quote niggers. The result, immigration restriction policy of 1901, also known as White Australia policy, just like South Africa. So until 1972, only a trickle of lecturers, librarians, and doctoral students such as me were allowed in. They were expected to go back when they finished their bill. The Whitlam government, Gog Whitlam's government, in 1973, Gog was a visionary. They officially disbanded the White Australia policy, and that is why you and I are here. I have gone through this simply because it's important to know where we stood and where we should be standing. Okay. As mentioned before, that Hinduism, I call it a lived religion. But why don't we know much about Hinduism? And that is our own fault back in India. Indian constitution, for whatever reason, decided that religion will not be taught in schools, in primary or secondary schools. The Muslims went around this by their madrasas. The Christian schools went around it by having special Christian schools, and we quite often take great pride in attending these Christian schools, learning to some extent about Christianity, but no Hinduism is taught anywhere. So that to me is one of the biggest stumbling block for us, for Indians, to understand, to learn, and to then contribute something to Hinduism that we don't know. India, as I said, has 26 main languages and 600 dialects, varied ethnicities, and therefore, once again, no one single definition for it. And as I mentioned before, we have two distinct heritages in Australia. One is what we carry from India, and the other, 14% of Indian DNA in Aborigines, that we have chosen to forget. Think of an isolated, calm lake, beautiful lake, and so on. Even if you put a very small pebble in there, it creates a lot of stir and rings. It disturbs the lake. We Indians are the pebbles. How do we then assimilate? We have created a large number of Indians associations everywhere. Just like back home, umpteen associations, umpteen cultural programs, dancing, regional festivals, you name it in India, it is here. But hang on, think how many Australians attend these? You'll find that very few do, simply because we are happy following our own things that back in India and not trying to get the Australian neighbor to be part of it. I do lots of pujas for people and weddings and so on. And I talk to dozens of Indians all over the time. Most of them do not know or interact with their white neighbor. How do we overcome this? It is us who must make the effort. If not once, twice, thrice, until they come to the party. We must understand Aussie customs, manners, norms, habits, and so on. Let's talk of language. We quite often make fun of Australian lingo, but that is the proper English in Australia. not the Indian English that we learn, or not even the London English. Australian English is what we need to learn. How do you do that? Join associations like Toastmasters International, Rostrum, etc. These are free organizations that will help you reach there. Let's talk of transmission of Hindu values. First of all, what are Hindu values? We talked about reading scriptures. Sure, we talk about it. We have said thousands of scriptures exist, but Vedas are the ones that we started with. How many of us have actually looked at a Veda and tried to read what it said either in Sanskrit or a translated version? We don't have time for it. We will brag about how important Vedas were, how ancient they are, but we don't know what they are. So to the beholder, ours, Hinduism, is an unwieldy mixture of faiths, values, rational and irrational things. Let me take a few examples. Let me take Hindu wedding, a beautiful thing. I have conducted about 200 Hindu weddings up till now, and every time I'm thrilled that two people are getting together, promising each other eternal love. According to Hindu civil code, the two most important things in Hindu wedding, which seal the wedding, are the fire, home as we call it, making offerings to gods through fire, going around the fire, and finally walking 7 steps together. This is official version of Hinduism in India. But hang on, in Karnataka, there's a huge group of people, they are here as well, called Lingayats, who will have nothing to do with lighting a fire. They will go around a pot of water. Even the dresses of brides are different depending on the region. A Marathi bride will wear a green sari and green blouse. A North Indian bride will may come in palanquin and wear orange red with a scarf. These are beautiful things, but they are different things, aren't they? I think one of the important things that the world sees as is 1.47 billion people who coexist together. We have problems, but we coexist together. The most populous nation in the world and the most productive and wonderful nation in the world, which sends IT people all the world. It's the birthplace of 4 major religions of the world. How a family unit can survive and build a great nation. That is what heritage is for us, and that is what we must impart to us overseas and others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bapat ji, and thank you very much for your insight. Personally speaking, I was a member of both Rostrum and Toastmaster in Australia for several years. And with respect to your comment on lingo, in fact, Hindu parents are very happy that their children are having Australian accent. I have an opposite view on that. But anyway, now I would request Dr. Himamshu Pota ji as a discussant for Dr. Bapat ji's presentation. As you know, Dr. Himamshu ji is from University of New South Wales, Canberra, and he is a very active person in organizing this webinar. And let me give the stage to Dr. Pota ji.
Thanks, Shashiji. Now, thanks, Dr. Bapat, for your wonderful presentation. As you know, our intention is also to archive these presentations for future generations, and nobody could be more suited to present the views of the earliest Hindus who migrated to Australia. Thank you very much for this presentation. I have heard so much about you, but never had an opportunity to meet you. So it is one. wonderful to have met you. So now I heard what you said, and well, to be very honest, the whole effort I do in this area is to take care of this. I don't know how this originated, that Hinduism cannot be defined. So that's not the time to discuss it now. But for all the rest of the audience, I wish for them to know that there are some views where Hindus can be very precisely defined and acted upon, right? And but there is a very large body of view that Hinduism cannot be defined. And I've been thinking through this for last more than 30 years, and personally I don't see any advantage coming out of that view of thinking about Hinduism. And secondly, you said we don't study Vedas, we don't have a systematic way of passing information about Hinduism, and that is very correct. But I have got again my own view that information is not understanding. And my view is, I mean, unfortunately, when you read something like Swami Vivekananda at an early age, you can't shake him off. And Vivekananda has gone through a great length to show that every single Hindu has got an unfailing sense of religion. Vivekananda has expanded in great length. So, I mean, it is wonderful to note your views, which are shared by so many people. If you see in the chats, many people were responding positively to your views. And many of the things you said are quite unique based on your experience. So we greatly thank you for that. And if I can ask one question and then we'll pass on to others, that Hinduism cannot be defined, but for you, what is that thing that gives you a sense of being a Hindu, and at 88 you are so vibrant and so active, fully active? What is that one thing, if I have to request you to present it to us? Just one single thing that has kept you going.
My firm belief in one ultimate God, doesn't matter which form he or she takes, and the pleasure I get out of doing pujas and weddings where people follow Hinduism, sincerely follow Hinduism, and that to me is very satisfying, and that to me is the most important thing that I have been able to achieve.
Well, that's wonderfully said. And that's, I think, yeah, you have given a wonderful summary that it is made up of ritual, understanding, and all different aspects of human personality that you offered or you develop as a part of being of this Hindu tradition. Thank you very much. Shashiji, we can request our other participants to ask questions.
Yeah, probably we will have Q&A at the end. People can
Okay.
note down their questions because we will finish the presentations first, Potaji. It's
Okay.
already half an hour gone. And our second speaker for today is Shuchita Pota from Canberra, a second generation Australian Hindu. May I request Shuchita to come onto the screen and deliver her presentation? And please share a bit about yourself, means your introduction. And the discussant for Shuchita ji will be Dr. Venkat Pula. So please go ahead, Shuchita ji.
Thank you. My name's Shuchita Pota. As you would know, my father's on this call, Himanshu Pota. So Dr. Himanshu Pota. So I feel very privileged to be here today talking to you all. I know I'm very early in my journey compared to many of you who have been doing this for many years. So I guess, the way that I've tried to answer these questions is sort of drawing out some of the themes and questions from the last webinar, particularly around this idea of what we can do to carry our religion here in Australia. So I think how I'm going to try and do this is I'll talk about my experience as a second generation Indian Australian who I would say I'm a reasonably I guess I would say I'm a practicing Hindu, and I'm reasonably committed to always trying to bring that into my life. So I'll explain, the context of that, and then a little bit about what I believe and how it applies in this Australian context. So I was born in Canberra. I grew up there as well. And we spent many, many weekends at the Hindu Temple and Cultural Centre, which is in the north of the city. So as a kid, my experience there, there's always work to be done at a temple. There's many people on this call, like, Prakash uncle and my dad, who, spent hours and hours and days, years of their life working at the temple. But as a kid, really your job was to be there, some light humor, light entertainment, sitting around, watching the comings and goings, the pujas, and then listening to satsangs when there was Swamijis visiting and all of that. So a key thing that I learned from this time of, very passive observation was all the range of practices within Indian traditions, all the various Indian traditions, and the way that they do all flow and harmonize together. Just really on that search for enlightenment and, realize self-actualization. So, we had Hindus there, obviously Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains, all of us were using this space together. And in my mind, I think as a kid, I thought that was the norm all over the world, maybe. But really looking back, that was quite a unique thing. But it did give me that appreciation for, the broad range of traditions and cultures around Hinduism that really did flourish together in India. So I guess part of this was, the story of Indian migration. Obviously, Canberra is a smaller city. There wasn't heaps of Indians there when we moved there, just a handful of families. I think we probably knew most of them. So I think that's what kind of necessitated that need for a communal kind of prayer space and religious space. But, as the Indian community's grown everywhere, there's now, a massive proliferation of gurudwaras and temples and all of that. So around this time as well, when I was quite young, thanks to my parents, I was initiated into the practice of Kriya Yoga. So that was by Paramhansa Prajnananda. So that was quite influential in my life because it was just a practice that I could do. Then in my mid-teens, sort of an extension of this and, working alongside that was the first of many Vipassana 2-week retreats that I did. So obviously that's steeped in the Buddhist practice. But, what I would say is like all of this. So listening to satsangs, practicing meditation, and just watching the way that so many Australian Indians carried their religion and their ideas into this new homeland of Australia. It made me really curious about wanting to seek out an understanding of some of these things on first principles from myself and, reading some texts and stuff like that. So because of that curiosity, I decided I wanted to study Sanskrit at university. So I went and studied Sanskrit and Indian history alongside, the more practical economics that I could get a job with. So to some extent, I'm really grateful that I got that experience to learn Sanskrit at university. And, none of this is like an indictment on teaching Sanskrit in the West or my professors. They were all great. But it did really show me how Western culture can really strip away the religious aspects of many things that we hold very dear as Hindus. And, we see this all the time. It's been discussed about yoga, meditation, commercialization of these practices. So, to be very fair, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that people should have exposure to ideas from Sanskrit texts. People should be able to meditate without having a philosophy guiding them. That's all very good. But it is like a real call to action for us Hindus that, we can't forget those philosophies and those ideas because everyone's actively kind of working against them. So yeah, we just have to hold it dear, be clear in our minds what we're trying to achieve and go from there. So I would say as well, like for me, obviously, I'm at the very beginning of my journey. I have lifetimes of work yet to do. So these are all just thoughts, based on my very limited experience. So please give me some grace. But I guess for me as well, I was very, very lucky growing up. I had a family around me who really did think about things in a very deep way. My father, obviously, has, a great collection of thoughts and ideas, as well as, some things that many people don't get access to, like just books and, the number of books I have in my house, even now, living in a different state to my parents, on Hindu philosophy, Hindu poetry, all of these ideas that, some people don't get the opportunity to have access to. So I'm very lucky in that sense. But also, to talk about these issues with someone who understands the existential questions in life, but also sometimes those mundane ones that we need religion for. So I guess now the way that I think about Hindu philosophy is as kind of, that journey that we're all taking to prepare ourselves for taking on divine knowledge. And really where that starts is start to understand something. You have to give rise to an action. So, what that means for me is giving rise to actions in my own life that give me meaning and purpose. So that's around having an understanding, trying to understand ideas of thinkers who came before me. And they have left us a lot to think about in terms of the intellectual and spiritual traditions to understand the nature of religion. And I'm talking about Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, even writers who have written about Sri Aurobindo. I think one book that was very influential for me was The Adventure of Consciousness, which is really about the ideas around where you kind of go with meditation. So, I think it is just kind of knowing, first of all, that, where we're going in the long term, and just understanding that takes time and a lot of effort. It's not just going to come overnight from believing something and then you're solved your problem. You have to read, meditate, reflect, and just continue deepening your understanding, as well as having the right people around you. I think that always helps. And that's what these kinds of groups are so good for. So I think the way that I think you can measure how you're going is that your purpose in life and your meaning in life becomes increasingly tied to your spiritual and religious action. So that's over time, you kind of go from this rat race of living in this culture of, money, jobs, status, to kind of understanding that, my priority in life is my spiritual knowledge and my deepening understanding of the reality of myself and the world. So I think that's a very calming and important cornerstone to what I do and how I live my life. So, I'm very grateful to have those practices in my life. So I think really to do this, it's really important maybe sometimes to let go of some of the things that you hold as facts that maybe they're not. You can't just say that, all truth stems from this book, or there's a particular concept of God that we all need to take to be right. It's very important to just remember that for Hindu, there is, experiential things that you need to do, but that's based on letting go of your ego, being, taking on action. So the last thing I'll talk about a little bit is just this in the context of being an Australian Indian. So I think in many of these things, and, I talk to many people all over Australia who have migrated here recently, less recently, all of that. And I think there is a big difference between practicing Hinduism in Australia and India. And in some ways, I honestly think maybe it's easier to be a Hindu in Australia because you don't have to worry about all the baggage that, comes with being in a country like India, which is, obviously no criticism, but, it is so steeped in so many things that are constantly playing out. But as a Hindu here, you don't really have to worry about any of that. Like some of this stuff around, it obviously plays on you a little bit, like some of these conceptions of caste and stuff that's always coming up. But yeah, to some extent, we're a bit separated. So we don't have to have Hinduism as our way of life or our dharma necessarily. We can still very much follow the norms of Australian society, live within those norms, and have a lot of freedom. And I'm talking about like economic freedom, but also, time and space and recreation is really valued in Australia. So that's, I'm not saying it's recreation, but I'm saying that you have that time. Whereas I think that's not always the case. So that's kind of where I'd like to end this. This is obviously an ongoing discussion. Like I said, many more for me. So please, very happy to talk to anyone and chat about these ideas, and deeply humbled that you've taken the time to listen to me today. So thank you so much.
Oh, big clap to Shuchita's presentation. And with your presentation, I'm sure our future is bright. So thank you very much to hear all this from a second generation Hindu in Australia. And this is what the kind of articulation we require to survive as well as prosper in the future. Thank you very much. So we have highlighted many things that discussant is going to talk about, but I really liked you mentioned we should know Hindu history, because without knowing Hindu history, we cannot be be proud of our heritage. Anyway, so I will request Dr. Venkat Pulaji to come to the stage.
Thank you very much, Shuchita and Sashi for this beautiful program that you're running. Shuchita, it's wonderful to hear your views, particularly as a younger generation. I think what I got from you was two things. Certainly, parental role has been important in the sense they have obviously tagged along and ensured that you did get that opportunity to meet and greet and also participate, to start with, even in the things which were not very meaningful, to situations where they became meaningful at the very temple when it was being built and forward. Now, one thing that reminds me to all, particularly, a lesson for all parental generation is that please take an appointment with your children well in advance, even a month in advance if necessary, to ensure that they go with you to a Ganesh Mandir or something or the other, because, if you just go away and not obviously take and tag along your children and ensure that, incentivize if necessary, but it is over a period of time when they believe that, no, this is something that I have to do as a parental duty or whatever it is, it just puts on a habit by itself. I'm not saying that you have to manipulate your children, but ensure that you have a long-term view of what this could do. I think from Suchita's presentation, it was very clear that if she was drawn into Sanskrit and things like that, but developed a discerning view that Sanskrit is obviously given to her without that spiritual elements at the end of the day, or any of those language studies that she did, were devoid of any of those spiritual contents. It is but natural. That's exactly what the West would do. Immediately I'm thinking in terms of, the desiccated coconut that you get in home brand and other kind of brands that you get, obviously it doesn't taste the same as the wet coconut that you would have. So it is understood that they do not want that oiling and the lubricating and the spiritual and thick element that the entire coconut could give you. And it is also not very easy for the Westerners to take anything from India right to the kernel or to the to the end of the the internal parts of the coconut itself, because they have a superficial journey. And certainly some of them who have actually done a great journey then come back, and obviously they are probably more Hindus than most of the other Hindu spirits and the other spiritualists. So that is also very, very clear. So a lot of them are touristic, a lot of them are impressionistic, and therefore they are drawn to an aspect of Hinduism or an aspect of a language, and they are fine. And their career is, so are we when we come here. So there's no big difference about the whole thing. So for some, teaching Hinduism could be a career. For the others, Hinduism is something more than a personal spiritual path. So it's wonderful that you've done that. And you also had gradually exposed yourself or with the family, certainly to Vipassana and a few other meditations that you did talk about, which is a great thing. And what I could understand is that you had a buffet in front of you, and you could pick and choose, which is exactly what we need to do. We just can't say, holy festival, all those guys are, just probably, not very good. So there's no point going there. Let's go to Garba, or, make a difference between one to the other, and, or just go to Diwali for a temple. No, if there is fun associated with religion, that should also be granted and given to younger children rather than just take them to the temple. And obviously, it's a parental duty that I pick up, that we need to explain bits and pieces, and over a period of time, get that creativity and the curiosity in the younger generation to be put on to them.
I mean, I'll
The
give
other,
you one example. I'll give you one very
yes,
small
sure.
example. So, just on the communicating thing, maybe I didn't discuss that a lot, but recently at my work, I got, and so I've worked in roles that have had to do with India before, and I really did honestly struggle with that because it was really in between two cultures that, maybe I didn't feel comfortable navigating that. I wouldn't say I was bad at it, but I found it really difficult. But, at my most recent job, nothing to do with India, they asked me on Diwali, can you please speak about Diwali? So, I kind of thought about it, racked my brain. I was like, I don't want to do that same speech that everyone does. So that's kind of the time when I started thinking about some of these ideas a little bit more, like how do I express them? What have I been doing with my religion? Where am I going? And having really good discussions with my dad about, what is this? How do we go? So that those kinds of exercises, not only are they really good for communicating to others how you have your faith in your own life, but also how you can articulate that nicely, because you don't normally sit down and write like a treatise on your religion. So it's those kinds of exercises that, although maybe sometimes they seem a little bit superficial, or I really encourage people to take the opportunity, share your ideas with your colleagues and friends, in these groups, to say, like, what do you think about this speech? Do you think this is good? Can you add anything? And I think that was a great exercise for me, and also did inspire some of the stuff we talked about today. So that's just one very small example of that.
Excellent. I think, the other thing that I also picked up from you was that, when you amble around and when people ask questions for which you don't have the answers at that point of time, it's okay to, go back and do some research and give that answer. The other thing that I picked up from you is that the traveling in Western countries, for a lot of us, we will have to put down a bit of our ego and also not be very, very dogmatic, as you've actually said. And the comparison with, for instance, when you have spoken about, if you were in India as a young person, you would have baggage. And if you were here, you don't have that kind of a baggage, which is very, very true, because even our parents don't really have, not parents, even for myself, I wouldn't say I have a huge baggage. But yes, there's a yearning, there is a desire to see that, my younger generation and my own children, my own grandchildren also get, whether it is, Ramayana through the comics or Mahabharata through the comics. I just want to ensure. But then if I'm not in a capacity to answer as to why Hanuman can, obviously, fly all those mountains and what is the mystical answers for some of those kind of things, I would probably be failing in my duties too. So there is a kind of a joint responsibility towards a generation like yours. And I'm so glad that Professor Pota ji obviously has done a great job ensuring what is necessary. So are my good friends Prakash Mehta and others who have all done great job over there in Canberra. So one of the things that you have also mentioned, I think, is that when the Westerners do research and when they are in the helm of affairs trying to do, whether it is Indology, Sanskrit, or Hindi teaching, certainly they dissect it and they will only take what is necessary for them, and which can give them a job at the end of the day, which is like, if you go, what's the big difference between Linus Pauling or yourself going to Vietnam and teaching English? You will do the same. Not that you would have a little more compassion towards a Vietnamese because somehow he's not white and you are not white. I mean, when it comes down to teaching English, you have to teach them exactly the grammar that is necessary. I think you've done a great job, and we are very, very proud of you to have ventured in this particular thing. I hope you will inspire colleagues and take that opportunity, whether it is Diwali or Holi or whatever it is, when the colleagues ask you, yes, not just giving the myth and the fact about it, but yes, a spiritual meaning which is around that will always be very, very useful. Thank you, Shuchita, and thank you, Sashiji, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pulaji. Thank you, Shuchita. I think the takeaway message for me is it's easier to become a Hindu in Australia. So, audience, please listen to this, both parents and youngsters. And probably in the future, when our professors goes on holidays, we can hire Shuchita as a discussant too. Okay. So, so our next speaker, another second generation Hindu, is Harshitha Reddy. Can you please come onto the screen, introduce yourself, And yeah, please go ahead.
Yep. All right. Namaste, everyone. First of all, just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very grateful that I am able to share my experiences and reflections with everyone today. So I'll just start off with a little introduction about me. So my name is Harshitha, and I am currently a second-year pharmacy student at James Cook University, Townsville. I was born in India, and I moved to Australia in 2016 when I was around 9 years old. And growing up in India, being Hindu was simply a part of my everyday life. And our festivals, traditions, and values, they were naturally woven into the community around us. So as a child, I never really stopped to think about what it meant to be Hindu. It was simply in the way we lived. And personally, moving to Australia was both an exciting and daunting new chapter for me and a very significant change. I was suddenly surrounded by people from many different cultures, traditions, and backgrounds. And while that diversity was something I came to appreciate, it also made me realize that staying connected to my own heritage would require a much more conscious effort. And looking back, I feel incredibly fortunate that my parents enrolled me and my sister in Vishwa Hindu Parishad's Bala Samskar Kendra. They wanted us to strengthen our knowledge of our culture and ensure that we remain connected to our roots. For me, Bala Samskar Kendra became much more than a place to learn. It became a space where I began to understand not only what we practiced, but why we practiced it. It encouraged me to ask questions, seek understanding, and develop a deeper appreciation of Hindu Dharma. And it has played a significant role in shaping the reflections I would like to share today. So the first discussion question asks, what does being a Hindu mean to you? And how do you communicate this understanding to your family and close friends? So when I first reflected on this question, I realized that I understood what it meant to be Hindu long before I could explain it. I did not learn Hindu Dharma by first reading scriptures or studying philosophy. I learned it by observing the people around me. I watched my parents offer prayers each morning. I celebrated festivals with family. I grew up listening to stories from the Ramayana and Mahabharata. And I learned to respect my elders, express gratitude, remove my shoes before entering a sacred place, and recognize the importance of humility and service. Before I could define Hindu Dharma, I had already begun experiencing it through everyday life. And as I've grown older, I have come to appreciate that this is one of the unique strengths of Hindu Dharma. It is not simply a philosophy that we study, it is a way of life that shapes how we think, behave, and interact with others. For me, being Hindu means striving to ensure that the values of dharma, compassion, humility, gratitude, and selfless service are reflected not only during religious occasions, but in my everyday actions. One thought that's remained with me is that many people will never encounter Hindu Dharma through our scriptures. Instead, they encounter it through us. For some, we may be the first or perhaps the only Hindu that they know personally. And whether we realize it or not, our words, actions, and conduct often become their introduction to our faith. And that is both a privilege and a responsibility. It reminds me that living according to our values is just as important as understanding them. Integrity, kindness, and respect are not simply ideals that we speak about. They are qualities that should be visible in the way we treat others every day. Communicating this understanding to my family and close friends therefore extends beyond conversations alone. It happens through shared experiences like praying together, celebrating festivals together, participating in seva, supporting one another, and continuing to learn together. Just as importantly, it happens by encouraging one another to ask questions and understand the meaning behind our traditions. I believe that understanding strengthens conviction, and conviction enables our practices to become genuine expressions of our faith rather than habits followed without reflection. And in Australia, we are one of the world's most multicultural societies. So often when we think about communicating Hindu Dharma, we think about explaining our festivals, customs, or philosophy. And while these are certainly important, I believe that the strongest expression of a Hindu worldview is ultimately the character of a Hindu. People may not remember every explanation we give them, but they will remember how we made them feel. They remember integrity, compassion, humility, and respect. So when these values consistently guide our actions, they communicate the essence of Hindu Dharma more effectively than words alone. And as someone studying pharmacy, this is something that I reflect on often, where pharmacy is built upon trust, compassion, ethical responsibility, and service to others. And the more I progress, the more I recognize that these are not simply professional expectations. These are values that Hindu Dharma has encouraged me to develop throughout my life. They remind me that being a Hindu is not something confined to the mandir or to religious celebrations. It is something I carry into every interaction and conversation. At the same time, I believe preserving and communicating Hindu Dharma cannot rest solely on individual efforts. It is also a collective responsibility. The communities play an essential role in ensuring that our traditions remain meaningful and relevant for future generations. We preserve Hindu Dharma when we create opportunities for young people to learn and ask questions. We preserve it through organizations, through community gatherings, festivals, youth programs, and acts of seva that bring people together. We preserve it by supporting one another, responding to misunderstandings with knowledge and respect, and contributing positively to the wider Australian community. And in doing so, we are not simply preserving an ancient tradition, we are ensuring that Hindu Dharma continues to be understood, valued, and lived within contemporary Australian society. And when I think about heritage, I don't immediately think about preserving traditions alone. I think about preserving meaning. Traditions are incredibly valuable because they connect us to the generations before us. But they become truly meaningful when we understand the purpose behind them. If future generations know only what to do but never understand why to do it, then those traditions risk becoming routine rather than living expressions of Hindu Dharma. For this reason, I believe our responsibility is not simply to pass down practices, but to pass down understanding. We should encourage curiosity, welcome question, and create such environments where young people feel comfortable exploring the significance behind our festivals, prayers, and values. And when people understand the purpose behind what they inherit, they are far more likely to preserve it with sincerity and conviction. And reflecting on my own journey, this is one of the greatest gifts that Vishwa Hindu Parishad's Bala Samskar Kendra has given me. And it strengthened the foundations that my family had already established at home and helped me develop a deeper appreciation of my heritage. Because alongside learning our scriptures, language, and traditions, we were encouraged to develop as individuals through leadership, public speaking, teamwork, and community involvement. We learned how to communicate confidently, think critically, and represent Hindu Dharma with understanding and respect. And looking back, I realized that these experiences were about much more than developing practical skills. They were about preparing young Hindus to contribute meaningfully to both our own community and to the broader Australian society. And I hope future generations continue to have opportunities like this because, as I've mentioned before, preserving Hindu Dharma is something we achieve collectively through our homes, our organizations, communities, and our willingness to invest in the next generation. So when we work together, we create that environment where young people do not feel disconnected from their heritage, but instead grow to understand it, value it, and confidently carry it forward. I believe every generation inherits Hindu Dharma, but they also carry the responsibility of strengthening it before passing it on. And that responsibility extends beyond preserving our rituals and customs. It involves preserving the understanding, values, and sense of community that give those traditions their meaning. So for me, being Hindu is not measured by how much philosophy I can quote or how many traditions I can describe. It is measured by whether the values I have inherited are reflected in the way I live, the way I serve others, and the way I contribute to my community. If we can continue to deepen our own understanding, support one another as a community, and inspire future generations to do the same, then I believe Hindu Dharma will continue to flourish, not only because it has been preserved, but because it has been lived with knowledge, purpose, and conviction. Dhanyawada. Thank you.
Be a big round of applause to young Harshitha, please. You have blown away the audience, and Harshitha is a young lady with very high self-esteem. Thank you very much, and we need more and more youngsters to come and speak on this platform. And thank you very much. And now I invite Dr. Pota ji to come onto the screen.
Thanks, Harshitha. Thank you very much. And from the love hearts going up on the screen, you can measure how well received your presentation was. Thank you very much. I think you spoke about three things. So two things I'll take first. You talked about ethics, and you talked about preserving traditions. Now, those things are very important, and those things connect ourselves to the outside world.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important, and have to be pursued, no doubt. And you very eloquently said that how it can be done and how you are fortunate to have received the right instruction from your parents and from the environment you have been exposed to. But I've been in this business for a very, very long time. So to identify one point that gives me hope, that gives me very great hope. So I have identified that point in what you said. And I want to double emphasize that point, because as you grow, that point could take a back seat. What was most revealing was when you said, I knew about Hinduism long before I could explain it.
Yeah.
You said that, right? And that to me is the most important thing you said today.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yes.
all those things are part of information passing.
Yes.
That can happen, and that happens, and that can happen with less care than your statement long before I could explain it. And that's a mark of something you are thinking, and it is very, very difficult to explain your deep thoughts to others.
Yeah.
So when you have had that thought, that's a very significant step in your life. Okay, and when you are going through, and obviously you'll be very successful in a profession, and everywhere I wish you all the success, the other things can take over. The external things, if people give you a lot of claps that, oh, we Hindus should be like that, and people are clapping, it can take over.
Yes.
The way you express your religion. But never let it go that you should always have something in your head which you can't explain in words.
Yes.
And that's a sure sign of your progress.
Yes.
So I am very glad that I could notice something in you which is not totally, not superficial and not meant for external consumption and just claps. You got something solid within you. So I congratulate you for that. And if you want to add something more, I don't need to ask you anything, because I think you are on your way.
Thank you, Dr. Pota.
And you can add to it or not, and I'll let others to ask questions of you and create an interaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think the biggest part with my reflection was that because I have spent a fraction of my life growing up in India. So as I mentioned before, because like you see it happening all around you. You see it's just a part of your daily life. So you see people visiting temples, in schools you learn languages and everything. So you're exposed to it. But I think very few people actually stop and reflect on it and ask questions and let their curiosity allow them to gain that knowledge. So I think that's kind of what I found out. And so I don't really think I have much more to add. I've pretty much covered it all. So thank you very much, Dr. Pota.
But never let that go. If a moment comes in your life when you can say more than what you can think, stop, pause.
Yes.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like take a break, have a think around, and yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think there's a Q&A section now, and I have a question on the chat. Probably Harshitha can answer this. Anusha ji, you want to raise your hand and throw that question to Harshitha? Anusha Saxena?
Sure.
Yeah.
As in, like, my own question, or you have a question
Whatever
that
the
you.
question. I saw your question on
So,
the chat
I
though.
was, oh, no, I was going to ask Harshita, thank you for the presentation. It's really good and really nice to hear about your journey.
Thank you.
Coming from the age of 9 to here, I came when I was 3. So I was going to ask you, if you like remember when you first came to Australia, did you find, like, in your experience at university and at school, did you find that people were like stereotyping you or like judging, your religious beliefs, or they had a lot of misconceptions? I mean, most of the time people don't ask that much, I guess, about if they're non-Hindu, maybe they wouldn't ask as much about um, religion. But yeah, just what made you like, stay strong in your religion, even if you had any obstacles come up. And I know you mentioned VHP, which is really good. I think being connected
Yeah.
to Indian Hindu organizations makes a difference. But yeah, that's my question. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Anushaji. I would say when I first came to Australia, I'll be honest, it was very terrifying. Definitely a very big environmental change because you have people from all around the world and there's like a language barrier. And so when you don't have that strong foundation, it is very hard to appreciate and like embrace it. So for me, I think the thing that kept me going is my curiosity, honestly. Like, I always just love to ask questions, and I have always been big on learning about my culture because essentially it is a part of my identity. I grew up with it, is it a part of who I am? So for me, I was also very fortunate with the community that I grew up in because as much curiosity as I have had, the community I grew up in, it allowed me to take that curiosity and also gain knowledge from it. So they have steered me in the right direction. And fortunately, I have never experienced like stereotyping or anything from school. Everyone that I have met was very happy to like learn. They would ask me questions and I would happily share my experiences and everything that I've learned. So, but I think especially in school environments, I have met students who have had these experiences with them. So I would say it can happen. But I think I have personally never had that experience. So yeah.
That's good.
Thank you. So now we have a Q&A section, the formal Q&A section. People can raise their hand and ask questions to the speakers, and the discussant can also answer the question if it is too hard. And please make sure that you ask a very pointed question, not statements or opinions or the stories. So please raise your hand. Dr. Pulaji, you want to say something before you go? Please unmute yourself. You are muted.
Okay. I am unmuted. Yes, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think both the speakers are excellent in terms of taking us and giving us the agenda. I did mention to you in a private message that I have guests at home today, leaving to India tomorrow. So therefore, I'm going to be excused. And as far as this series is concerned, please feel encouraged that these are being heard. The way you are continuing this is an excellent opportunity for all of us to reflect. And I hope all those who are attending today also invite other colleagues and more networking can take place, Ashiji. And I look forward for the next opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. So,
We
Shashi,
haven't decided about the exact.
Shashi, can I suggest something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
We have got 20 minutes, and can we request each participant to maybe 10, 15 seconds or 30 seconds introduce themselves, because we want to develop it as a conversation where everybody is involved. So Q&A, unless there is something, we can keep Q&A after the introduction. Do you find it reasonable?
Yeah, they can take more than 30 seconds. They can even take up to a minute. We can start with the youngsters. So, starting
Yeah,
from the last, Harshitha first.
Just to confirm, just like a little introduction about me.
yeah, but that's all right. Harshita has given her introduction, so we
Yeah.
can start with the people who have not spoken.
Oh, what do you mean to say? From the audience?
Audience,
Oh,
audience.
I see. Sorry. All right. Let me see who is there. Anusha
Prakash Bhai is on
Saxena.
my screen, the
Yeah,
top. You can
I'm
go on the screen top and then
Yeah,
follow down.
yeah. I
just
will.
I can
Alpha.
give my
I will.
introduction because I have to leave quickly to attend because I'm a Karmajivi guy. I have to attend one another meeting straight away. So I will just give my introduction. I'm Prakash Mehta. I'm an active Hindu workers from many years from childhood. Currently, my responsibility is as a vice president, major projects of Hindu Council of Australia. And also I look after earlier I was looking after as a national president of the Hindu Council of Australia and also involved in the Hindu Temple and Cultural Center Flori, which Shuchita has already told. So that's my brief introduction. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Prakash ji. Thank you very much. Most of the people know about you, so thank you. Mallikarjuna Rao. Unmute yourself, Raoji.
Namaskaram to the panel. It's great to be with you and hear young people speak about our culture and what it means to them in their life. My name is Malik Rachakonda. I live in Sydney. I've been in Australia since 1982. I'm now into my mid-70s, so I think what it means to me doesn't really matter. But what I thought actually is I came here as a young person. I was actually around 29 years when I came to Australia. Now I am into mid-70s. So during the course of my life, I have seen a lot of things, and I also looked at these issues from different points of view. One is personally, as an individual, as a person in 20s. Later, as a parent, when my children are going into their teens, how I can make them interested in Hinduism. So I was actually a part of Chinmaya Mission. I was the president of Chinmaya Mission in good old days. And my children were taken to Balvihar, like Harshitha. They also learned what Hinduism means to them. And beyond that, what I thought is, what is that I have to do as a member of the community to preserve our culture and heritage and pass on to our next generation, especially for those who live in Australia or any other country outside India. So that has actually prompted me to write a few books on Sanatana Dharma. So those books are written and published only a year ago, and I will speak about them maybe in one of those future meetings. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Yes, Mallikarjuna Rao wrote a book on Sanatana Dharma. It is available on Amazon Australia, both in English and Telugu versions. Thank you very much. Next is Dr. Vivek Apte.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm Vivek Apte. I live in Sydney. I've been living in Australia since 1982. I came here as a PhD student, spent all my working life in Sydney, and now I'm semi-retired or maybe retired, I can say. I have been a practicing Hindu all my life. Um, uh, and my aim is actually quite clear. My aim is self-realization. But apart from that, I'm also interested in the geopolitics, what's happening to Hindus in India and Hindus abroad. So I always keep myself well informed about what's happening uh, around the world. The only thing I would like to say is Hindus are always perceived as nice, very nice people, good people, gentle people, complying people. Um, I think we should grow out of that. We should rejuvenate the Kshatriya inside us, and we should be able to stand up and encounter people who abuse us. That I think is very important than just being very nice and polite and good. In addition to that, I think we should be a Kshatriya. That's the only thing I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Apteji. That's a punchline from the famous Indologist Rajiv Malhotra. We all should become intellectual warriors or Kshatriyatana. So thank you very much.
Well,
And Dr.
a
Apteji will be
line, a
most
line
probably our
from
next
me,
speaker for
Shashi,
the next webinar.
a line from me that since Apte Saab has called for Kshatriya spirit, when I attack you, Apte Saab, you cannot hide. Right? You call for Kshatriya strength.
I attack front. I don't. You know that.
Yep. So next is Dr. Sadhana Bose. Sadhana ji, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Namaste. Good morning, Sashiji, and everyone else. I'm sorry I'm not on video. Thank you, Sashiji, for inviting me to listen to and be part of this webinar. It's wonderful to hear the young voices. And personally, I'm here to learn what young Hindu Australians had to say. And I'm hopeful of them carrying forward the legacy of many million years in a way that does them proud both as Hindus and as Australians. So it's great to be here and hear the voices of young people.
Thank you, Sadhana ji. Dr. Anusha Saxena.
Sashi, can I interrupt just one more? So, Anusha ji, all speakers, if you can also tell how you can contribute to this discussion, ongoing discussion, that will help others.
So Himanshu ji, you mean for this session or ongoing sessions?
I can explain you.
Yes.
So we are looking for young speakers. That doesn't mean that we are eliminating old speakers. We are looking for speakers. We are looking for discussants. We are looking for good audience, and we are looking for outreach, maximum outreach, scaling up our operation. If you could able to have a word of mouth with your friends, mates, your institutions, employers, etc., as well as putting this on your social media handle. So that will be highly useful, because simply talking amongst ourselves for a group of 30 people, 40 people, 100 people is not it's not up to the mark. We are 1 million in number. I expect at least 500 people attending this webinar, not between 30 and 40. Of course, we are going to upload this onto YouTube. There will be a lot of, I'm going to promote this on YouTube. So you will become popular. So that is the incentive. If you contribute, if you attend, if you collaborate with us, you will become popular too. You will have a fulfillment experience.
Yeah,
so that's what
Shashi,
I wanted to
it's
say.
been great talking to you. I'll talk to you outside of the webinar as well. I think it's really important for us to reach maximum people. So I think our family networks, family, friends, children, whether they're Gen Gen Z or Z or Omega or millennials. I think having is great to hear all the speakers, having a topic which we can use to attract people. So it could be topics which are relevant to younger people and older people as well, connected to being Hindu in Australia. So maybe we could talk about how being Hindu can affects you in common issues, like even mental health is a really big topic. So how can knowing our identity and being comfortable being Hindu, how can that also help us with things like when topics like people maybe losing their jobs or topics that can affect their mental health. So I feel like outreach should be on a number of levels, and I think it would be good to have a structured maybe a topic as well as introduction, sharing of our story, and then a topic where we can all discuss. So far we are 30 people on the webinar. When it gets more people, it may be a bit harder, then maybe we need to break out rooms. but I think that will engage people more, and also young people who are part of any youth groups, whether temple groups or university, Indian society, Hindu society. If we can share amongst those, if you can share the webinar links amongst those groups as well, then I think we can get more audience. And if you give a chance for young people to also to speak, which we have as well in the second webinar and first webinar, then I think more people will be wanting to interact. And I think on social media, Instagram, Twitter's not that commonly used. Facebook maybe is a good way to promote it. And also, if people know pundits in the area, or they're part of any temple groups like ISKCON or Swaminarayan Temple, then if they have any youth groups there, then disseminating information about this webinar series will be useful. And people can invite their parents as well. So I would want to invite my father to also be part of it, because he's really good mentor, and he's also inspired a lot of people in Australia and in India just with the work he's doing. So I think having good role models and people in the community, like Dr. Bose, I know her and she's done amazing work. So having them featured, and that will also encourage young people, because there'll be role models that they can follow in the footsteps of in different fields. So for young people, jobs are an issue, but also at the same time, they want to stay connected to a community which is vibrant and active. And so having people from different fields, I think we had amazing speakers today. Having people from different fields, a mixture of young and old, I think that will really help attract people. And also print media, Indian Link, there's a Desi Australia newspaper. So I think coming up with a strategy of how to engage all those groups, you will definitely get an increased number. But I think the strategy has to be planned, and we can start off with our own family networks, let them know this webinar series happens every few weeks. And then from there, it can also spread by word of mouth if people are getting good value out of it. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I will ask Mano Krishnaji. And Manoji is the president of VHP Queensland. She was the one organized Harshitha Reddy as a speaker today.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Sashiji. It's a great effort to connect people who are on the same page on Hindu Dharma and how we are going to take this to our next generation. We came to Australia in 1997. For many years, nearly 10 years, we were associated with language school. Only that time, like a few of us realized, of course, our children can speak in our language, but they don't know a lot of things which we know. Why? Because when it comes to a language school, you can't teach anything about Hindu Dharma or celebrate festivals. That's when we realized we should have a school where we should teach them what we know about Hindu Dharma, scriptures, or Sanskrit language. That's when we started Bal Samskar Kendra with the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of Australia from 2010. So Harshitha is a student who graduated grade 12 in the university. I thought it'll be a really good idea to get the views from the youth rather than we all speak. And we need to know whether they are coming and learning because the parents are bringing or the children are interested on their own. So in that way, I thought, okay, when Sashiji asked, Harshitha will be the right person to talk. And so that any other students, if they see and they'll get inspired and they can come forward to talk as well. So as Harshitha mentioned, apart from just teaching scriptures and Sanskritam, we also train them in a lot of soft skills, how to take up leadership roles, what are the other skills if you want to be a leader, and how will you express in case if you encounter anything about Hindu Dharma, how will you talk, whether you've got the knowledge, whether you'll be able to speak and, convinced. You don't have to go for a fight, but at least you are convinced about your identity. So we take care of the holistically, like Sanskritam, mother tongue as well. They learn mother tongue and Hindu scripture, and also a lot of teamwork and leadership skills they learn from our Bal Samskar Kendra and Yuva Samskar Kendra.
Thank you, Manoji. Hopefully, you will bring another young speaker for the next webinar.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to
And
interrupt,
now, Pravina Mittalji from Western Australia. Pravinaji is the head of VHP Western Australia. Are you there, Pravinaji?
Namaste, Shashiji. Thank you very much. I am absolutely blown away with the way the two young girls spoke. And Harshitha is only 11 years older than my granddaughter is. And I'm thinking, I'm actually going to request you to have this particular section in a short clip that I'm going to send around to parents of young children, where the
Sure.
children should watch this. And Manoji, Bal Sanskar Kendra, we've been thinking about it in Western Australia for a long time. This has given me an inspiration. When you see children like this, we've got to get it started.
Happy to help you,
Thank you.
Balaji, anytime.
Yes, Manoji, you've always offered me. Vishwa Hindu Parishad is blossoming. Bal Sanskar Kendra will be the next step.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Pravanaji. Hopefully,
Thank you,
we should have a
Shashiji.
young speaker from Western Australia next time. Please
I
work on
will
it.
definitely look for somebody. And Shashiji, thank you. What a great job you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Those who
Thank
want
you.
to know, I teach Sanskrit for
Indira
10
Nair
years
ji.
on Zoom. Yeah.
Indira Nair ji from Western Australia.
Yes, Shashiji.
Yeah.
Namaste, namaste all. In fact, I too must admit and agree that, watching speakers like as old as Harshita and the others speak, and I know Anu has always been there for Hindu causes, and she and I have many a times have had discussions. My only thing is, Shashiji, yes, we are teaching our kids Sanskrit and all those things, yes. But for the time being, can we sort of get this message to the kids out there in layman's language, especially when there are weddings and when there are pujas. If whatever shlokas and the vows that we take during weddings, if these can be sort of passed on or translated into a layman's language, that should also attract young minds towards remaining faithful to our dharma. So that this has always been in my mind. Can we do that? Because I know one success, the basic reason why the missionaries are successful is because they have been able to get to the layman out there in simple language, in simple layman's language, and that is what I would just request the scholars out there, if y'all can just do a brainstorming session and have these put across. Thank you.
Definitely, Indira ji. I think we should work out with our community leaders. Yes, Pota ji.
Now we have got only 2 minutes left. For the next one, may I suggest this is how we each can participate to this discussion is very important. See, what we can do, outreach and all is also important, but how you can contribute to this discussion, I would like to know. So
I think both are important, Potaji, because if you have a maximum outreach,
I agree.
People will hear about this, and we may get new people entering into the fray.
Shashi, I agree, but that's a very open-ended question. People introducing themselves and telling how they can contribute, we can build a dynamics amongst our group. See,
Fair enough. Fair enough. We will just extend for another 10 minutes. People who are interested can definitely stay back.
Yeah,
because there are some
that's
more
right.
people.
All for next one. We will do this every once of a very short, what they can contribute to this group and create a dynamics.
Okay. So can I ask this question to Paddy Krishnanji then? Paddy ji?
Sorry, what?
How you can enrich this discussion? What contribution you can make in this platform to enhance the discussion about the questions that we asked?
So, I mean, I'm a very different thinker on this. So, firstly, I want to say that, I don't have any words of wisdom as such for the younger generation, etc., because everybody's journey is different. So, from me, the point is we should understand what are the problems, the fundamental problems, and discuss that. So that is where, and listen to sort of what the youngsters want. I may have experienced Hinduism in India and various other countries. That is not relevant to the youngsters. We tend to take a top-down approach, and this is very Indian nature, right? Parents know you have to listen to parents, grandparents, etc., etc. I believe in bottom-up. Find out what the kids want, let them question, and then we can all pool our wisdom, etc., together. So that's the way I think we should approach this thing. And if you're going to go beyond this group, what is the value proposition? Right? We can't just say, oh, we have a meeting, please come. What is the value proposition? What is it that people, I'm sure there are a lot of marketing experts here. So what is the value proposition we are having so that we can attract people? I think I'll just say that's enough, and I'll leave it to the others to comment on this. As I said, I'm very different thinker when it comes to philosophy and religion, etc.
Okay, Lakshmi Narasimhanji.
Sorry, namaste. Okay, my thoughts here are, I'm not really, I think I practice Hinduism, but as Paddy just said, talking to youngsters, I do feel we need to understand what their issues growing up here are, what do they want to learn, and with the understanding of Hinduism that it is so varied. As I had just posted a comment, I'm a Kerala Tamilian brought up in Pune. So the cultures that I have, or the way it is Hinduism is practiced, has been so varied, and that exposure has enriched how I look at religion, how I practice Hinduism. So I think we need to be aware that there are different ways families practice it. So what are we giving them to say that it will make them more compassionate, it will make them better people? Then the question is, why only Hinduism? Will nothing else give them that? So we have to identify something that's unique, which I really have been struggling to do. So to be honest, I don't know.
So yeah, you are still skeptical. So that is the purpose of this webinar. Preserve, transmit, and contribute. What do you preserve and how do you preserve? If you preserve, what do you transmit? And after transmission, how are you going to convey this to mainstream Australians about your identity and your heritage?
That's one thing I can definitely, I think Dr. Bapat mentioned this. I do find when we celebrate something, it seems to be only the Indians there. There is very little engagement with the local people. Okay, some MPs and some politicians are invited, but that's about it. I don't see any locals coming. The youth don't bring their friends, which then it just becomes an Indian Hindu preaching to the converted. And this is another thing here. I feel everybody is converted in quotation marks, and we are preaching to them. Is there a youth who's going to come and say why I'm rejecting this, why I don't follow Hinduism, or I don't go to a temple? What has caused me to feel that?
So that is the purpose of this webinar. So what is our idea of being a Hindu? That has to be defined a bit, because we are living in a world where everything is rational, principle oriented, philosophy oriented. So we need to define that. That is the purpose of this webinar.
We need the other voices also. We need a youth to come and say why I am not doing this. What has taken me away from this? Only then we can address the problem, is my feeling.
So if I have to add one more, I put it on the chat. I'm a great fan of people like Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris, right? If you haven't listened to him, you should, to them. So you notice that most youth are actually moving away from religion. Churches are closing down and so on. It's not a uniquely Hinduism problem. So that is why I'm saying that, we need to engage the youth on some of these issues that people are leaning towards, as I said, raised by people like Sam Harris, etc.
Your point's taken, Paddy G. 30% of the people declare themselves as atheist or non-religious, but that doesn't mean that they are antagonistic to Christianity. But that doesn't happen with Hindu people. The moment they leave their religion, they become antagonistic. That's my observation. So the next person is Neha. Can you please introduce yourself?
Rashiji, let me just come in again. See, these problems are very well known. What I'm requesting is how you can contribute to
ideas.
addressing these problems. These problems are very well known. I mean, I've been in this business for so long, and we have been going through this problem. So what can you contribute to solve this problem? That's what we are here to listen.
Fair enough. Neha?
Hello everyone, Namaste. I'm Neha Holla. I am a fourth year pharmacy student at Curtin. I'm also Shashi's daughter. It's been wonderful to hear everyone's thoughts today and also from the previous session about preserving and protecting our Hindu heritage and taking it forward. To contribute to these sessions, I would also love to come on the stage and also give my I would also like to come out and say what has my childhood been in Australia, especially from like rural WA. There's not many Indians in those areas, so it's just me, dad, and mum. So how has that been? It's also really important that even if you are in like rural WA or even anywhere rural, it's great to be like part of a community, and how we have also like preserved our heritage and also our festivals and all these religious rituals, how it has also been preserved. So I would love the opportunity to come forward and explore that with you all.
Okay, so Neha is helping as a co-host in logistics. That's a contribution as of now. So our next Srinivasaji. Will you be able to contribute in some or the other way to this webinar?
Yes.
You will take another 5 to 10 minutes to wrap this up. Okay.
I'm just getting my cameras on. Are you guys able to see me at all? Hello?
No.
Are you able to hear me at least?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So apologies for my camera not being in order. So you're probably not able to see me, but look, that's just fine. So Srinivasa is my name. Namaste to all of you. I've been here in Australia for about 21 years now. I just thought I came a few years back, but my wife keeps reminding, no, we have been here for like 20 plus years. So I remember having met Dr. Pota and Mr. Prakash Ji at the Canberra temple more than a few years back. I mean, I think this should have been about 15 years back or so. I mean, I've had a colorful life in Australia. I'm just happy to share my experiences here in Australia as a person of Indian origin, as a person of Hindu origin, which may be beneficial to most of us. I just don't have just one or two points. Like I have multiple points to share, to the benefit of the wider community. But there's just one thing that just comes to mind. What I've been observing is, I have a PhD in mathematics from the ANU. So let's talk a little bit about maths, but I'm not going to bore any one of you now. So in the international math Olympiad that just concluded, I think about a couple of weeks back, we had good participation from the Australian side of things. we had a lot of people. I mean, we had a lot of Australian kids of Chinese origin participating. Right? It would also be really nice if there would be Australians of Indian origin also participating in these Olympiad programs, and bring glory to Australia. The Indian team has been doing reasonably well in the last few years in these Olympiads, and Hindus also have contributed to maths over the centuries, right? And that can be an inspiration for the next generation to kind of look at academics, look at math, as a contributing factor, So, and I'm sure there would be a lot of parents who'd be interested in encouraging their kids to look at this as one of the as one way to contributing. So this is my idea. I mean, I am not prepared to, I haven't written down notes. Yeah, there's just example kind of.
Thank you, Srinivasji. Thank you. What you can do is you can write it, draft this as a one-page, proposal.
Yeah.
And you can send it to me. You can send it to the professors and various community leaders, and definitely from there we can move forward, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And next is Dr. Manik Datar.
Manik is there.
Dr.
So I
Manik.
think, Shashi, what you said is quite useful. I mean, if everybody of us can write something, a paragraph or so, that's very useful. Because what I'm saying is today, everybody is put on the spot. People were not prepared. The next webinar, we will have a session where everybody can make their contribution. And all of you can make great contributions. It's question of just working it out.
And the moment they put it on a piece of paper about their thoughts, there will be 100% clarity, and that is where the action will start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is a notice, or it is a request to everybody. Today everybody is on spot, so I apologize for that. But we need to continue the discussion. The only way we can do it, share our ideas. Actions are important, but ideas are more important.
Next is Sudhakaran. Sudhakaranji?
Maybe we can close it, Shashi, here. Let
so one
people
more. I don't want to
next year.
leave one or two people. Atul Saxena?
Okay.
Yeah, it's only 2 or 3 people left.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah. And who else? Lakan Shama, Madhaviji, Rajendraji, are you still there? Pandeyji? I think they're all busy attending some other function, probably. So,
Namaskar ji. Lakhan Sharma here.
Lakanji, boliye.
I just want to basically learn more as to how I can contribute. I don't know what we can do. I'm currently the president here in Canberra for the Hindu Temple and Cultural Center. And I'm trying to get to understand how we can get more youth to attend the temple and come back into the Hindu fold, who have started leaving in a way, kind of thing. I mean, as I think a couple of other speakers have also said the same thing, that the youth is not interested anymore. So I want to understand what is behind it and then see how we can get them back.
Fair enough. Padmini Saxena? Padmini, how can you help us in this discussion? Okay, I think.
Namaste, Shashiji. Sorry, I was trying to sort out my mic and camera.
Yeah, fair enough. Go ahead.
Yeah. Much appreciate this opportunity, Shashiji. I think that was a good session that you've organized. I knew a few speakers who have already spoken. Look, as far as I'm concerned, I am here based in Karatha, a regional town, as you know. The president of a Hindu Association of Pilbara. My contribution is pretty much, many of you know, I think whatever we require to do in Australia is bring it to the policy level where we can get engaged with the governments. So these are the challenges we need to address rather than having closed conversations in groups. Unless we actually play a bigger picture, we will be played down. That's my take on it. I really would like, see how we could, because the challenges what I've faced in regional town like Karata, and you also know when you're talking about places, where you represent small a regional town, a rural town, is not actually helping the communities here. So I have actually taken up with engaging with the councils, with engaging with the state government in various ways. And that is where I think we need to open up.
Thank you. And will you be able to recommend some young Hindu speakers from Karata for our webinar in the future?
I can reach out and see if somebody can volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really appreciate the young girl who spoke, Hishta, right?
Yeah, the two young girls, they have set a very high benchmark standards, but
Absolutely.
no need to be scared of it. We can
Yeah.
all have our own way of expressing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Our last speaker for today is Padmini ji.
Namaskar, Shashiji. Thank you so much. I'm an educator, and I can say from personal experience that involvement in PNCs, in little athletics, and other sporting groups where young parents can make a very important imprint. And I see parents from other religious groups making, their mark through PNCs in schools and through other sporting events. I'd like to see Hindu representation in these groups.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So, is it possible for you, there are a lot of suggestions in the chat group too, to write your suggestion as a one-page document and send it to me so that I'm going to compile all those recommendations, come out with the edited volume of a book, and present this to various community leaders across Australia.
Sure,
Yeah.
Surely, I'll do that.
Yeah, can you please do that? And not only yourself, there are a lot of suggestions in the chat box. So all those people who are suggesting something should draft it and send it to me or even to Dr. Pota and other professors, because all these things are very important, so that we don't repeat the same thing in every webinar. All right. And that is the end of our webinar today. And thank you very much. And